Hi, I'm Dr. Holly Lucille. I am part of the Integrative Medical Advisory Team here at Natural Partners, and I'm here with my colleague Alex Keller, here for another episode of Dr. K Review. And once again, what we're trying to do with these episodes are, of course, highlight the ingredients and brands and products that are available at Natural Partners, but also talk about a health condition. So today, we're going to be talking about mitochondrial health. You know, Alex, when I think about mitochondrial health in general, I can't help but think about just overall health. I mean, these are our powerhouses, right? This is the energy, right? And for every single cell, yeah. So exactly, it informs everything almost.
Yeah, the mitochondria, as we're starting to realize more and more with research now, is instrumental in providing us our aerobic energy, right? So that's the endurance energy that we often talk about. It's what converts fatty acids with oxygen into the most efficient form of ATP production that we have in the body. Right?
I think you're kind of alluding to maybe something I'm having a reaction to, the Krebs cycle, which we had to memorize and circle all the right answers when it comes to biochemistry.
Biochem 101,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle on the electron transport chain. Right. Those are in the mitochondria. They're the ones that produce this abundance of ATP that we need for our cells. And where we're seeing this increasing interest in mitochondria
I have patients coming in just sort of even talking about mitochondrial health in general.
Yeah, it's become a really hot topic, mostly around anti-aging and around performance when it comes to energy, right? So people are realizing if they want more energy, they need their mitochondria to be able to produce that energy for them. And as we age, the mitochondria break down along with everything else, right? And when they break down, they produce energy less efficiently, and then we start to feel more fatigued, we can't keep up, we start to have cardiac issues. Cardiac tissue is especially susceptible to mitochondrial damage because the heart is always pumping.
Right.
It's the one thing that is always moving and
always
muscle
needing
that's
energy.
Always contracting. Exactly.
So is it the oxidative stress that is basically responsible for breaking down mitochondria?
More or less.
Yeah.
There are some genetic deficiencies that can contribute to it as well, but primarily for the average person, what we're facing in our society now is environmental oxidative stress, it's nutritional oxidative stress, it's stress oxidative stress, and it's all of these contributing factors that are causing an increase in free radical damage to the mitochondria, which results in us aging faster and having less energy.
All right, so let's talk about some of the key nutrients, or maybe one key nutrient that is so helpful in supporting mitochondrial health.
Yeah. CoQ10.
Yep, CoQ10. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, so we always think about CoQ10 when it comes to the heart.
Right.
And that ties back to the fact that mitochondria are so important for heart health.
Right.
However, mitochondria are in pretty much every cell. Red blood cells they're not in, so that's one factor. But in most of our cells, they are the energy producing component of that cell. And as a result, CoQ10 is important for most of those cells.
Right, well, it's ubiquitous. It's in every single cell in our body.
Exactly. And it's also an antioxidant, right? So it prevents the mitochondria from breaking down, but CoQ10 is also one of the most important cofactors in that citric acid cycle and in the electron transport chain in making those fatty acids oxidize into the energy that we need them.
So, and CoQ10 pretty much at the age of 25 starts to decline naturally.
Exactly.
And really isn't that prevalent, I don't think, in our diets.
No. The main source of CoQ10 is
organ meats.
Organ meats. And who loves organ meats?
Not vegans and not vegetarians.
And not most people in
general.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so we're looking at perhaps an overall deficiency of coenzyme Q10.
Correct.
One of the biggest supporters of mitochondrial health. And then also, as you mentioned, huge antioxidant, not doing its job in recovering our antioxidant storages as far as all of the oxidative stress.
Right.
As you mentioned, our modern day environment, full of stuff.
Yep.
Our cells are going through so much all the time. So it's almost like I feel like mitochondrial health needs to be supported across the board. I mean, there's the longevity that you talked about, there's anti-aging, as they say, or healthy aging that we want to promote, but it's almost like every single cell in the body.
Correct. Yeah.
So let's talk about dosing of CoQ10, because you mentioned heart, right? So I think, I would say prevention 100 milligrams of CoQ10, right? And then perhaps there's a heart issue, so I'd go up to 200. And then if they're on a statin medication, right, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor, cuts off the liver's ability to promote or to produce cholesterol, but also CoQ10, so even higher. And I realize, in these products here, especially the Mitocharge, It's got 100 milligrams of CoQ10 in it, and it's got other supportive ingredients, of course, as you talked about, the N-acetylcysteine, things that are high in antioxidant, and they're going to support those cells. But when we look at this from MitoQ, I was really confused because the amount of CoQ10 in here seems to be a lot less, only 10 milligrams. What do you know about that?
Yeah, I was really curious about MitoQ because I hadn't heard about it before we brought it on. And so MitoQ's background is in the 90s. There were researchers in New Zealand who started to research why people were still having mitochondrial related diseases when they were taking antioxidants, and specifically CoQ10. And what they discovered was that the mitochondria were not absorbing the form of CoQ10 that was readily available at the time. So they started looking into how could they take CoQ10 and shorten it so that it could be better absorbed into the mitochondria via the membrane.
Right.
And they discovered and eventually patented this form that they now call MitoQ, which is a shortened form of CoQ10 that much more readily absorbs into the mitochondria, and as a result, you need much less of it.
Wow. So this is different. This is a different story than the oxidized versus reduced form, ubiquinol versus ubiquinone, et cetera.
Yeah.
This is a shortened form, so it makes sense, less of it.
Yep.
All right, and so CoQ10, and then when I'm thinking in my head about the whole entire Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle, I see, remembering all the different cofactors. What are some other ingredients that actually can contribute to supporting mitochondrial health?
Yeah, the next chief ingredient would be L-carnitine.
Right.
You think of L-arginine as well as being core for cardiovascular tissue support. You're looking at B vitamins. You're looking at zinc, potentially selenium. A product like Monocor by Ortho has resveratrol, malic acid. So there's a lot of these supportive nutrients that are very antioxidant focused.
Right.
And typically when you're looking at mitochondrial support, primarily you're looking at either nutrients that support the citric acid cycle, the electron transport chain, or are antioxidants to help prevent the breakdown of the mitochondria.
Yeah, and I should mention Orthomolecular, not available on Natural Partners, but at our trusted friends over at FullScript has this product. And I love this, even though it doesn't have any CoQ10 in it, it is a combination synergistic ingredient product to absolutely support the mitochondria. And from our talk and from what I've been seeing clinically, I think prevention is the cure, and this is something that we cannot forget about.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the diet. When I work with my patients, I'm always trying to get them to focus on diet.
Right.
But if they're not able to eat something like organ meats, and they're not getting the CoQ10 or other potential antioxidants that either come with that, or diet that's full of fresh fruits and vegetables, for instance, then you have to start thinking of supplementation with these kinds of ingredients.
Yeah, and everybody that's so interested in longevity, there's the intermittent fasting, the fasting mimicking diets, et cetera. Supplement your lifestyle. That's what we're trying to do. All right, thank you so much. So if you have any questions about ingredients, any of the products, anything about mitochondrial health, make sure that you like this video and comment below, and we'll just keep the conversation going. And to learn more, you can go to naturalpartners.com